Okay, everybody, welcome back to the fate of the White Sox. In this episode, we'll be doing 2 seasons instead of 1, like we did the previous, and I'm hoping I can actually kind of stack them. So, episode 1, 1 season, episode 2, 2 seasons, episode 3, 3 seasons, because what this series is about is our White Sox and not necessarily the White Sox, and that's kind of an important distinction to make. We'll reach a point where I'm not so much concerned with the Chicago White Sox themselves, although we certainly are curious as to how they're doing, but more so our own players and how they are functioning in this OOTP baseball universe without us. So we're doing just quickly awards from the end of 2020-23. Blake Rutherford got himself a Silver Slugger, and as predicted, James Paxton cops himself a Cy Young, unanimous, good for him. And with that in mind, if you'll remember last episode, we won the Central and then lost the Division Series. So that ended our season. Braves won the World Series. So let's go ahead and move on to opening day 2024. Okay, we are here for opening day 2024. We're going to be sending out a lineup of Maciel, Alexander, Jimenez, Calhoun, Arenado, Moncada, Rutherford, Langoliers, Sheets. So that's looking pretty normal still pretty much the core of our 2022 championship team there in the lineup. Sam Bagwell makes his debut and will be the number 2 starter behind Jorge Ruiz. So James Paxton is gone. I don't know if he was a free agent. We'll find out shortly. Adbert 3rd, Alcantara 4th, and then Ricardo Sanchez, a new add to the rotation. Once again, just keeping up that revolving door of relievers, although Dylan Tate and Guduan are still there. So hope that this team still has good things in store. Let's go ahead and check in on some of those short lists very quickly. First of all, the prospects. So Bagwell has made it up to Chicago. None of these pitchers looking particularly exciting. So as we move right along here, let's look at batters. The guy I'm interested in is Doug Evans, and interestingly enough, I see he's been moved, so he's in the Mariners system now, okay, on a trade that took place over the offseason. That trade was Doug Evans for Ricardo Sanchez. So there you have it. We decide to trade away Evans for Sanchez. Let's see. Anyone else looking decent here? Joe Gray Jr. Will start in Charlotte, as will Van Kohler, who was another outfield prospect for us, now being used as a second baseman. Fierro will start in A-ball in Kannapolis. And so minor league system looking a little bit depleted. I'm sure the team has added some good players through the draft or stuff like that, but I'm not too interested in their prospects. I want to know about mine. So we will now take a look at the active roster. Let's see here. So Swarzak without a team, Fry, Forsythe, and Castro have retired. Ozzie Albies is in Akron in the Cleveland system. That's interesting. Peralta, Lux, Denenberg, Deason, Bohm, Barnes, Spencer Adams is in Baltimore. But these guys right here will not start the year in the majors. So Denenberg still not quite working out. And Deason, I'm surprised to see him not start in the majors after what was, I thought, a decent enough 2023. I'd expect him in the rotation over Sanchez, so questionable there. Scott Alexander still New York. Brian Clark in their system. Everybody else is in Chicago still. So that's the team that we're going to be rolling with in 2024. And we can go ahead and skip to the end of the regular season. Nick Wells is still injured, by the way. Still 3 more months till he gets back from that torn UCL. Okay, the season is over. Chicago wins 77 games. So that is a big bummer. They miss out on the playoffs as Cleveland advance from the Central Division. As you can see, injury-wise, some problems. Adbert, rotator cuff inflammation, will miss 2 more months. Denenberg was hurt. Sam Bagwell was also hurt. He only managed 65 innings for his rookie year. So we're going to go ahead and just quickly take a look at the team stats real quick. So the way I'm going to do that is go to lineups And let's see those batting stats. So who was the best hitter on this clip? That was Blake Rutherford. Pretty good year for him. Blaze Alexander getting that OBP back to 347. Pretty good. Still hasn't quite had a year as good as his rookie year, but you know what? He's still definitely become a very solid starting shortstop in the league. Langoliers, solid year for him too. Willie Calhoun hit, how many homers did Willie hit? 36. Arenado, I saw kind of slowed down. This is his contract year. He's a free agent, so I imagine he still gets a pretty solid contract. And then there's Moncada, who actually pretty much struggled this year, pretty similar to his 2018 actually. So hopefully he can turn things around. He was doing quite good up until then. He is still with the club through 2025 before he becomes a free agent. Everyone else pretty irrelevant, I'll say. As far as pitching goes, no doubt Jorge Ruiz just continuing to be super consistent, always with that ERA plus, over 100, always racking up 170, 180 innings. He is, it's one thing to have a guy who wins a Cy Young and then maybe flames out, but the thing with Ruiz has just always been he's such a consistent pitcher, and he's managed to remain uninjured. So gotta love him to death. Alcantara, solid year for him as well. And then, but apart from that, rotation, definitely a problem. This guy, Tom Robson, looking like the best reliever. So we're going to check in on that short list real quick. Can do that real quick. So Sam Bagwell, as we said, got hurt. That was a bummer. Anyone worth mentioning here? Fierro had a really nice year in A-ball, so there may still be a future for him yet with his ratings looking good. Van Kohler, interestingly enough, was traded for Austin Beck, who you might have seen. So Austin Beck not making a huge splash in 2024, but maybe in 2025 I could see him winning a starting role. So Van Kohler was traded, and he also did make his debut. And then Doug Evans in Tacoma, another really solid year in AAA, and the fact that we traded this guy for Ricardo Sanchez, who was dropped off to waivers and is now with the A's. It's just like, dang. That's a big miss by the CPU. But it's not a miss by me, because if you'll remember correctly, I drafted him, so I'm taking credit. Whatever good he does, I'm taking credit for it. Let's check in on... so first of all, I wanted to show you guys Paxton. He ended up with the Cubs, so hopefully didn't even have to buy a new apartment. And wow, an incredible year for him. As you can see, he's day-to-day with some shoulder inflammation, but a 2.07 ERA is insane. Interestingly enough, it seems like his fielding independent pitching actually worse compared to last year. That's just basing it off of the fact that his homers were up and his strikeouts were down. But he's got crazy BABIP luck, 2.10 ERA plus, and once again a real shot to claim back-to-back Cy Young. So that was a free agent signing. Sad to see him go, but also very happy to see the Big Maple still succeeding in the big leagues. He's 35 years old now, so you would think time would catch up to him, but not happening. So anyone else I really want to highlight here? Let's look at Deason. He pitched 91 pretty good innings, but yeah, mostly as a reliever. But he did make it back up to the majors, so that was good. Anyone else I'm really looking at here? Not seeing anything really shocking beyond that. Freddie Peralta, I'll look at him. Did he have a good year? Not really. Not really a good year. His stuff has really kind of fallen off. And then Goodwin, I wanted to look at him. He pitched pretty well, but then he had to get surgery. He's always been pretty fragile, so shame. We're gonna actually just go ahead and I think for the sake of conciseness in this episode, just skip to opening day 2025. The year is now 2025, ladies and gentlemen, and Our White Sox crew is really starting to look depleted now, I think, in comparison to our 2022 squad. And I think where it stands out most might be the rotation. We have Jorge Ruiz, one of ours, Sam Bagwell, one of ours, Mason Denneberg, also one of ours, but then this guy, Travis Lakins, and a very injured and no longer good Nick Wells, who hasn't done anything since his good 2022 with us. Yeah, it's not the best rotation. Lineup is looking pretty normal. As you can see, it turns out we didn't re-sign Arenado, so we have this guy Josh Smith, and he's kind of worked his way through the system and performed really well in AA and AAA. He was a minor league free agent signing by the PC in 2023, so not the best ratings. Certainly, I think a below average starting third baseman, but I think he's deserving of an opportunity. Austin Beck grabs the right field starting spot, so I guess Maciel is gone or whatever. I don't know what the deal is. Moncada, Langolier, Sheets at first. Jimenez still in left, still hitting dingers. Willie Calhoun still DHing and hitting dingers. Rutherford and Alexander at the top of the order. So that's the team we are going to be sending out. Deason and Peralta are still a part of this, and Adbear has been moved to a reliever role, which I hope they kind of reconsider Deason and Adbear as the season goes along. We'll see. I'm sure they'll get some opportunities to start. One thing I do want to do now is take a look at the active roster players. Just sort of curious. So Spencer Adams is in KC now. Alcantara is also in KC, so he's moved. He was a free agent signing, so sad to see him go. He's done a lot. He did a lot of good for us. Anyone else I'm kind of curious about? Wilmer Torres is out. Fry and Swarzak retired. We're going to take a look at batters now. One guy I wanted to look at was Ian Happ, and he's sort of become this more of a utility type player for us. He started 84 games, 2023, 97, 2024. Ratings really fallen off at age 30, so we'll still have the memories of you, Ian Happ, but I think we're all mortals is the lesson. The lesson of this series is that we're all mortals, and we're all going to die, and we're all going to become decrepit and bad at everything. So with that in mind, with that positive thought, let's move on to the end of the season. All right, here we are at the end of 2025, and it all comes down to this. We will face off against KC. And we are currently half a game ahead of Oakland, who have finished their season with 86 wins. Now, with our final game, if we win it, we will be for sure in. If we lose it, there may be a game, 163, just to get a wild card spot. Or there may be some sort of tiebreaker that awards it. I don't know, but all I know is it's definitely a win and you're in right now. Some players I'd really like to highlight before we really get into things. The two players I want to highlight are definitely Sam Bagwell, who's one of ours. Fantastic year for him. He took over the ace spot in the rotation from Ruiz, and just great pitching all around from him. 174 innings, 2.79 ERA, and his first All-Star appearance. But the guy who really stuns me is Eloy Jimenez, who just out of nowhere becomes just the real freak that we actually felt like he could be. He'd always been a really solid player who had a lot of home runs, but he was never this elite offensive force, and this year he absolutely was. He hit 52 home runs, OPS over 1,000. And he hit 335, and I feel like this is and made his first All-Star game. This is what White Sox fans are really, really hoping for in real life. If they get this guy, I think they'll still be happy. But it's this guy that it's his raw power, and he can be a guy who hits 40 or 50 home runs, and it's good to see him do it, even if it took him until age 28 to do it. So let's go ahead and play this game against KC and see what happens. What's happening? Oh, okay, it changed. So now let's play the game. All right, so that is a tie. So that means we now play Oakland for the initial wildcard spot. So let's do it. And we take it. We win 6-5. Let's actually look at that box score. Oh, I turned that off just to sim faster. Well, too bad. So Chicago, they will win 6-5 against Oakland, and now they face off in another win or go home one game thing against Boston. So let's do that. Against Daniel Norris, of all people, by the way, former Chicago White Sox member. No game. Oh, they win. Right? They win. So they're through. So they are going to go through to the ALDS. That's very exciting. I want to quickly review the team's regular season performance first, though, in a bit more detail. So as far as pitching goes, Reese and Bagwell, really good seasons from them. And then this Lakins guy actually takes the third spot in the rotation, although he wasn't particularly inspiring. Let's see, this Alex Meyer guy, who's 35, he pitched pretty well as a reliever. He made an all-star game, so good for him. And then as far as the hitters go, Jimenez obviously takes it. Langoliers had a good year. Rutherford's still solid. He's not quite the force he used to be, but he is fragile too, but he's still doing his thing. Can't hate on that. Jean Carvajal, actually, with a 2-win season for the White Sox. That's pretty cool. Good for him. And a league average hitter, but when you combine that with good second base, good things are going to happen. Moncada also played 142 games, and really similar season to last year. So his ratings suggest that he should be hitting better than he has been. So we'll see about him. Still signed. He's a free agent after this, so we'll see what happens with him. Is this the guy? No, it was Josh Smith. Josh Smith, how did he do? He got himself a win season, but it wasn't particularly incredible. And this Colin Moran guy, he, for a guy who didn't even play in 2024, actually did pretty good for us. So he was a 2023 All-Star. That's interesting. Nothing about his 2023 says he should have been an All-Star, but who's to say? I don't make the rules. Also, Willie Calhoun hit 30 home runs again, so that's good. And Blaze Alexander had a pretty good year as well. All right, so we're going to do a playoff tree now, I think. And just sim until the playoffs end. So we will face off against the Mariners first. Mariners win first 2 games. Rubber match. Decider, Mariners win. So another division series exit, but it's good to see the White Sox get back to the playoffs and actually, win their wild card matchup and their tiebreaker and all that stuff. So Indians were actually last year's champions. I didn't show that. Rockies have made it. Game 7 goes to the Indians. I think they came back from 3-1. So if they did, that kind of erases whatever mistakes they made against Chicago. But yeah, they're back-to-back champs, and they're a nasty team. I'm curious if Jimenez will win MVP. As you can see, Jose Ramirez there on the left beat him in OPS, but Jimenez did have more homers, and he did beat him in batting average as well. So depends what the voters are looking for. And both were on playoff teams. All right, so let's go ahead and move. Actually, let's take a look at the short lists real quick. Let's do prospects first. Let's see, Fierro. Pretty good in A+. He's progressing kind of slowly through the system, I would say, but he's still only 21, just because he'd been in the system forever, basically, since he was like 16. Joe Gray Jr. is in Baltimore now. Interesting. Was claimed from waivers. All right. So he's kind of busted out. I'm sad to see that. Trent DeVoe still in Double-A, and he's not going to sniff the majors, it looks like, despite how excited I was about him. Doug Evans tore his ACL in May. That is so sad. He was playing quite well in his rookie season too. So Doug Evans, just look at these numbers. 75 contact on this guy, 55 home run power. He can really be a monster at the plate for the Mariners for years to come. So we'll definitely keep an eye on him. I'm also curious about Van Kohler. He gets his first full season in Oakland, and you know what? He performs pretty dang well. So I wouldn't have picked him to be more successful than Joe Gray Jr., but it looks like that is what is going to happen. Anyone with pitchers? Sam Bagwell, we talked about. This guy's not making it. All right, so let's move on and look at the active roster guys. Arenado, in case you guys were wondering, signed with New York, the Mets through 2029. And really solid year with them. It's not the freak offensive numbers. I know cores, blah 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 blah, but he's the type of guy that even if he's 110 OPS plus, just like an above average solid hitter, his defense is makes him really a complete package player, and I think he's on a Hall of Fame career trajectory because he hasn't lost his defense at all at age 34. So that's cool. I guess he would go in as a Rocky, but he did have some nice years with us as well. Maciel is still in Chicago, but not doing too much. Albies, Castro, Forsythe retired. Ian Happ, how about you? Just doing utility, but decent year at the plate for him. So, okay, we're looking at pitchers too. I wanted to see if Paxton had himself another really good year. And, it's still a pretty solid year for Paxton, I gotta say. Not as good as his previous 2 years for sure, but it's certainly not bad either. Paxton's still holding it down at age 37. Good for him. Okay, cool. Atbear only threw 15 innings, so he's kind of fallen off. You can see on his ratings for sure. And then Cody Deason splitting time between AAA and the bigs, never quite seeming to establish himself. So that's a bummer because I thought he was an exciting young pitcher. All right, so that's going to wrap up our 2025. But one thing I do want to do is, before this episode ends, is check out the awards just to see if Eloy can pull himself off an MVP. I would love to see that. Okay, so MVP has been announced, and Eloy Jimenez pulls it off, so that is awesome. I'm a little surprised Ramirez didn't give him more of a run, but 27 first-place votes for Eloy out of the possible 30. And, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Good for Eloy. It's good to see someone who's actually doing better without me rather than worse. So, and as you can see, his ratings have really come along. 70 contact, 65 home run power. So, a bit of a late bloomer, maybe, Eloy. Not that he was bad, early in his career, but he was just, he wasn't this kind of player at all. And so I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. He's signed through 2028 with the White Sox. And nabbing that MVP is a big deal for him. So thank you guys for watching this episode. We'll be back in the next episode to do 2026, 2027, and 2028. So I hope you guys are enjoying this little experiment. I hope it brings you all closure with this team. Thank you for keeping up with the channel. Wait, no, sorry. One more thing. Sam Bagwell won a Cy Young. So we had the MVP and the Cy Young winner. So I think team depth definitely a problem when you look at it. We've just got some really great talent in Eloy, who I will take credit for, and Sam Bagwell, who I will definitely take credit for. I drafted him. If you take away anything from this episode in this series, I drafted Sam Bagwell, and we didn't get to see how he did, but now he's here and he's good. And I'm smart because I drafted Sam Bagwell. That's the big takeaway. Thank you for watching.